You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Archer After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Archer After Show.
Yeah. Woo! Gotta love the Charlene, right?
Yeah. I've been listening to this album. I downloaded it right when it came out. I've been listening to it a lot. I actually love it.
It's good stuff. Charlene's good.
It's good. It's just good country music.
Right.
Outlaw country.
Woo! Well, we are here. It is the season 5, episode 8, The Rules of Extraction. I'm Scott Moore, along with...
I'm Zach Wilson.
And you might be wondering, we're missing 2 people tonight. Yeah.
It's a mystery.
It is.
I think Greg was arrested in either Colombia or Guatemala, one or the other. I think he was dealing heroin.
Of course.
Unlike our heroes in
Greg.
this episode who were dealing cocaine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know where Roya is?
I think it was a spa day that went awry.
Ugh.
And, you know.
It's appropriate, though.
Yeah.
At least they themed their excuses to what happened tonight on Archer.
Yeah, that's what she said. So, get well soon with the bad spa day there. But we're gonna try to carry on.
Greg, we'll try to bust you out
We
of Guatemalan jail.
Guatemalan/Colombian jail. They're nowhere near each other, but you know.
Unlike Lana not busting out Archer.
You called it though, didn't you? You said
Yeah,
she was not going to.
I was very firm in that prediction.
And you were correct.
Yeah, I want to start a board where
think
I
we
can
should.
just, like, check it off.
Yes, and we see that. I don't know what would the prize be at the end of the season of how many
Pride.
you get right. The pride
And scotch.
The fact of being a winner. Yeah, I was completely wrong because I really did think that she was gonna come to his rescue at the very end there. I thought and I'm not only mad at myself, but I'm kind of disappointed too that she didn't.
Lana just doesn't care anymore, and I think, and what happens when she tries? She's like, no, because look what happens if I call him, and not his elaborate voicemails have gotten to they've like reached meta stage.
They have. It's crazy.
Where last week he had Ray's voicemail pre-programmed into his phone. And now he's programmed the house to ring for him when they call. Like a
freaking club in there. You know, that was hilarious. And then Krieger trying to decipher how it was all put together. It was just so ridiculous.
You have Pam and Shirley and just go. They're like, all right, it's a club now.
Yeah, let's party down. So we had an interesting sort of dichotomy going on. We had the boys doing their thing and the girls, back at home. Yeah, back at the ranch. Back at what was it? Tunt Manor. Yeah, so they're hanging out at the manor, and the boys are still in Colombia there, right? It was Colombia, correct? Now I'm totally
yeah. They're in Colombia.
So
the Guatemala thing was a joke.
I know, that was like I'm getting thrown off.
Not in Guatemala.
I'm easily thrown off, but yeah. So we opened with them in Colombia, and they're in the back of the I don't know, was it a Jeep?
In the Jeep, they're in custody.
Yeah, going
with the guys who the driver's drinking like tequila straight out of a bottle. Making cracking jokes, like we're gonna kill you. Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
going to head to the La Culebra.
Sorry, the jail. The terrible jail, and he's like, "You're not gonna reach that jail. Don't worry." And it's like, this isn't an episode of BJ and the Bear, which, in case you at home didn't know,
which would be also myself.
BJ and the Bear was a NBC comedy from the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay. All right. No wonder why I didn't know. I was just a babe. All right. So interesting. Yeah, never heard of that show before. That's great. But I love the references. Again, I love that they find very specific references, like last week with the baseball player from the 30s
that
they brought up. It's just such genius writing, and I really liked. Again, I liked the episode. I liked the pacing of this episode. I love the animation.
Yeah, well, it's something I'm glad they've kept up with. It, like, as the show, like, over 5 years, they've kept up with that idea of just like, we can make jokes. You're not gonna understand them,
which is great,
but you're gonna laugh anyway.
Yeah, because it's so well done, and even so, you get to go back and look it up.
No other show can get away with that, and I don't understand how they do. I know, but they do
on a regular weekly
week.
Yeah,
but it's like they're gonna shoot you right in the cow.
Yeah. And again, right then, that was incredible animation, and it was hilarious.
Oh, the Jeep,
the Jeep kept tumbling down. It just kept going.
And it falls. Eat a dick, jungle.
Boom, with the tree branch. I mean, it was fantastic. And it was awesome. And yet everybody survived.
And they didn't feel the need to check if Ray was alive.
Right, that was great. I love the whole thing, too. When he's down on the floorboards, like, trying to get the keys, and Archer's like, do me.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Yeah, right.
I love that because it just feels like the writer's room, like somebody's like, no, like somebody keeps pitching phrasing into this like script, and they're like, we're not doing phrasing anymore. It's like, oh, you don't want to do phrasing anymore? Well, I'm gonna do phrasing this way. I'm gonna backdoor phrasing
phrasing.
Which phrasing on that?
Exactly. Well, you're right. It's almost like this is their whole discussion in the writer's room, and they're basically throwing that right there into the actual script. So I love that. I think it was so good. And then back at Tunt Manor, the girls are back there, and you know what? And we've been talking about this all season long too. Was actually seeing the breaking point of Mallory. Yeah, I mean, and we really actually saw it in this episode. Because she's always kind of had this veneer of not giving a crap and always being that type of person, and we finally saw this like human little side of her that finally came out tonight.
Well, she always deflects with anger or
humor or whatever it is with the drinking.
Yeah, and she has her money to back it up. She can do whatever she wants because she is Mallory Archer. Now, being Mallory Archer doesn't mean squat.
Yeah, and we saw that, and we've talked about it. Is the fact that she's kind of lost her identity in the sense that she's no longer the boss. She doesn't have the money. Her husband left, and she basically broke that all out in tonight's episode, right? I mean, it was...
Which is why Lana is finally just like... I think Mallory's lost it.
Yeah, because she's like, I'm broke. My husband kicked me out of our house. We're running out of cocaine, and my son is missing. I mean, it's about as bad as it can get. And it was nice to kind of see that in a way, to see her with that human side, I thought, because it's just something that we've never been privy to really in the past. So it was interesting to see she's actually at the end of her rope, and and Lana stepping up to and like, let's do something for her, which was nice too, I thought. Yeah. Again, it's a side of those characters that we don't always get to see, and in Mallory's case, we've never really seen in 5 seasons.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what that does to her as she goes forward. Like, how is that going to, once Archer gets back, we assume they're going to eventually land with their however many tons of cocaine. Oh my God,
and
now they have, we'll get into that more later.
I want to get into that too.
We'll get into that with predictions, all the coke and what it might mean.
Yeah, but again, it was like seeing her vulnerable was I thought it was a nice thing in the way they did that. But you're right. Like, now, which direction are they going to take her? Is she going to kind of go back to her old self when Archer returns, theoretically, at some point? But
how can she? She's already been. She's been stripped of everything that makes her Mallory Archer.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because the focus was really on her and on their, the guy's storyline. So I'm wondering in future episodes, are they going to kind of, when it's not all about her, are they going to kind of pull back and she's going to kind of be back to her old self? So I guess we could say that for predictions too. But thought that was really cool that they kind of took care of her, even though it was absolutely hilarious with Pam, saying,
Pam didn't eat any cocaine this week.
You're right. She did not.
I was so disappointed because none of us got to be right about her sugary Coke snack.
You're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that until you just said that now. I was like, wow, she really didn't.
No. She gets excited about cocaine
she gets excited about it, and she mentions it obviously a lot, but you're right. She didn't actually partake. So I wonder if she was on the side and
Oh, I'm sure she
saw it.
She was eating cocaine off screen,
right off screen
somewhere, but she wasn't eating it in some new edible form. But
that's what I'm saying. It was so fascinating that they focused so much on the issues with Mallory that even her stuff wasn't even even the running joke wasn't brought up with her with the cocaine this time. But I just love that line with her saying that, oh, I should dress up as Mr. Archer.
It's so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. She's just like,
put on a
strap and then it cuts her off again.
Oh my God.
And then they call back to the fact that it's like, no, Pam has had sex with Lana, Archer, and Mrs. Archer.
Yeah, so Pam is like the what is that, the word I'm thinking about, the common denominator in a way. Like, she connects all of them with the she is the 1 degree there.
There's a horrifying thought running through my head that I feel the need to say because we're already, the word strap-on was already uttered.
All right, so how much lower can we get here? We've already achieved that.
Archer has been through the privates of all 4 of those women.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the cleanest way I can possibly say that.
Yep, you're absolutely correct.
As horrifying as that is to think about, that is absolutely the truth. Let's move on, shall we?
Wow, now that we're just about as uncomfortable as we can get, yeah.
But down in Colombia, they're running through the woods. Ray's paralyzed again.
Ray is apparently paralyzed.
We get more crocodile fear.
Yeah. Which again, it was just seeing Archer just being so freaked out about the croc it was entertaining.
So hilariously knowledgeable.
Yeah, exactly.
He could be like a doctor of crocodiles.
Yeah. So I've never even heard the caimans. I only heard
black caiman.
I've only heard the Cayman Islands. I didn't know there was a type called the caimans.
You got to watch out for them. They can get 22 very, feet, very large.
22 feet long, and what was the newtons? I wrote it down to you.
20,000 newtons of power in their jaws,
and such strong stomach acid that hooves and bones can just melt away.
And like I knew that like crocodiles and alligators are like they haven't evolved for 100 million years and all that. But I never thought about that. Is a very scary thing. They are nature's perfected killing machines.
Absolutely.
And they 3 of them just destroy the 2 bodyguards.
Yeah, that was. But it was just funny to see him again. It's sort of that running theme there. Like then even Archer feeling vulnerable at this point because you always think of Archer just not giving a crap and everything, and he's so fearful of these crocs that it's almost immobilizing to him. And I love the fact that again, like his mom, he's also vulnerable in this episode and scared and admitting a side of him that he doesn't always admit either. And sometimes.
I loved the little nod they had to Jaws.
Yeah.
Because for anyone that didn't catch it, that's what they're referencing when he throws the gasoline can and shoots it, waiting for an explosion. We're all like, oh, and then it does nothing. It doesn't explode. Because that's not what happens if you shoot a can of gas.
No.
As much as I love Jaws, that's not what happens.
I mean, it's fun, and that's part of, the mystique of Jaws and everything, but that doesn't happen in real life. But that was great when it was just
it's like, I kind of expected more of a explosion-y.
Well, even the crocs reminded me a lot of the whole Jaws thing too, the way they just kind of jumped out of the water. I thought they were kind of going with that theme the whole time and just basically chewed the guys to the bodyguards to bits. I thought it was very Jaws-like as well, so they kind of stuck with that theme.
And then he uses the gas as a croc repellent, which I guess makes sense. But once you jump in the river, doesn't most of it wash away?
Right, it wouldn't be enough. I mean, again, I think in spots, it probably could still be lit up. But
enough to get you to the side of the river.
I mean, I'm like no expert there, but I'm assuming. And again, of course, as anime, like here I am thinking about like, oh yeah, I wonder how they actually did that. But I mean, I would think to some degree it would be able to. But so then they get off the river. They're safe there. They're now in the middle of the jungle.
And they find a plane of cocaine dealers.
I mean, they're just hanging around.
It's Colombia. That's what you find.
Right. They're like a fast food restaurant. They're just everywhere. around every corner. There's
we don't actually
full of cocaine.
I want to be clear that we do not actually think that's what Colombia is like.
Absolutely not.
We're not that terrible people. We're pretty terrible.
I was like, that's just AfterBuzz's opinion. No, just kidding.
But then they
just kid. I kid.
I mean, and I thought it was really interesting that through that whole sequence of events, they're digging deeper and deeper into Archer's actual character, like why he is the way he is, and it's like the fact that he leaps without looking, constantly, and it's like because they're like, stop acting like it's just gonna turn out okay. He's like, but it almost always does. So you kind of can't blame him.
No, you can't, because that was like his whole experience. And so his whole experience is it does kind of turn out. So let's just do it and be, And then, case in point, there's a plane conveniently available. Yeah, right there for them. But I also, I thought it was interesting because, as we find out, Ray was just kind of pulling their leg. And he was okay. Which I thought was great too, because I really did kind of fall for it, because it's the running gag that he always gets.
Yeah,
paralyzed.
Well, it's also like, God, it would be like, damn it, Krieger.
Yeah.
For how bad is your like design that if he falls a couple times,
exactly,
he's gonna just like his legs keep shutting off. He's got bionic legs. He should be fine.
He should be, but I still thought, okay, it's the running gag. Because obviously that whole crazy fall down, the fact that anyone would be alive after that anyways was enough in itself. But so it was believable, and I'm like, they're going with the running gag, so I fell for it. But I also thought, wouldn't he still be able to fly the plane? Because you don't really need your legs.
It's not like
to
a
fly
car
plane.
where
no, you don't need the brakes. You
gas.
only kind of need to do that. But the other, Archer could do that on the other side there, of being able to maneuver on the ground with the pedals and everything, and that's it.
And I actually do think you would be able to walk somebody through to a certain extent.
Yeah, as you're sitting there, I've taken some flying lessons, and I would think you sit there, you go through the checklist, you would just tell him what to do, and he's still there. It's not like he's totally incapacitated where you can tell him, okay, do this, kind of follow what I'm doing here. He would have been fine. So I thought that was interesting that kind of played off that he was not going to be able to fly the plane at all.
Yeah.
If he was, in fact, paralyzed. And I know this is terrible to say, but it made me uncomfortable, because it kind of reminded me of the whole thing going on with the Malaysia Airlines right now. It's like they're like, well, we have 5 hours of gas, we have 5 hours of fuel left, and we don't know where we're going. I was like, oh my God, like, what are the odds that this would be airing now? And it like totally made me think of that, because they're like, well, where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna land? We've got 5 hours of fuel. And I'm like, oh crap, a little scary. Yeah, so I just brought it down. I know, but I don't know. Did you even think about that when that was going on? It just had some of those similarities.
Specifically, did not cross my mind. I have like that's its own crazy thing, but that did not specifically cross my mind. But now they're flying through the air with all of this cocaine.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not sure exactly what explanation they'll have to get it back.
Yeah.
But somehow they're going to get it back, and now they're just going to have a ton more cocaine in they're just going to fill that locker up. They're like,
yeah,
now we have more. They haven't been able to sell any of it. And now they're just going to have even more, and Pam's going to flip out.
Of course she is.
So happy.
Right. They're going to totally refresh that the whole cocaine thing completely. It's almost like the mid-season, although we're just past that. So we're like, let's refresh the supplies here. So yeah, I guess it will be interesting to see like where they're going to end up and what they're going to do.
Yeah. There's a lot that's left in the. I mean, you know what I do like is that they are stringing episodes together.
Yeah, you bring up a good point.
It's become a little bit more serialized.
It has become a little more serialized. You're right, because at the beginning there, it was very much like standalone episodes, and these past couple, especially these two, and I like when they do that too, when they'll go and do 2 or 3 together.
Well, I almost want them to do it like they did with like Heart of Archness, where it's like this is a 3-part episode.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a different tact, where it's a season that's just like stringing together. So it's more like a standard serialized show instead of the episodic nature that Archer has always had.
Always has been, and I do prefer to this kind of setup, because it kind of does keep you like on the edge, wondering what's going to happen episode to episode, instead of it being completely off base with something completely different. But I feel like obviously it's gonna. I don't know. I mean, it is keeping the serialized thing, because I'm thinking the next couple episodes it could continue moving forward, because at some point we're going to see Lana with the baby, and we still have a couple of those mysteries, like who's the father, and when's that going to come out. So you feel like it is going to kind of progress now in almost a serialized fashion, even beyond next week's.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mysteries, we have a new one, because Mallory says she did not get the cocaine.
Yeah.
She says that Archer did.
Yeah.
Now, did Archer deny it?
I thought he did deny it.
Yeah. So
I thought he did deny it.
Where did all of this very, very pure cocaine come from? 2,000 pounds of cocaine
just shows up.
Wait, Mallory had it. She had to know where she thinks Archer brought it. Archer doesn't, at least says he didn't do it.
Well, and there was still that mystery thing too of like who she was talking to earlier in the season too.
Who got them off of all the charges?
So many
mysteries. Who got them like
so many
pardoned
things.
For treason?
Yeah, right. So many mysteries.
Is she sleeping with Obama? There's a twist.
There's a
twist. Wild, crazy theory prediction of the week.
Yeah.
Mallory Archer is sleeping with Barack Obama. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Well, speaking of that, should we go into predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Let you go first.
Oh,
We're already on the roll here.
Well, my big prediction was that the cocaine will. They're gonna come back, and now they're gonna make it back safely, super easily, like almost too easily.
Yeah, that's a good point. Are they just gonna be able to land there, New York? I mean,
and Mallory
just come right in.
Yeah, they're just gonna go right by customs.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna say anything, and then Mallory is just gonna be like, "You brought back more? Sell something."
Yeah, right.
Maybe they try an episode where they're just like dealing on the streets, like a dime bag at a time or an 8-ball at a time.
Really going like, yeah,
like, well, we're
micro
not working
here.
We're not doing anything with the big deals.
Yeah, I still I know. I'd like to say like I don't know where they're gonna end up going here. Like where are they gonna land? Or is it gonna become its own adventure of them trying to get back because they feel like they have to go somewhere because it'd be too easy to come in right into New York or wherever? They're gonna go somewhere else and have to find a way back. I still like my earlier theory from earlier in the season about somehow, you know, Charlene goes on tour and they use the bus again as sort of the way to be able to keep the coke in.
Well, they tried that once and it failed.
It failed,
miserably.
but I still feel like somehow they're going to do that because we didn't even talk about, you know, Lana having to redline her contract because, of course, Mallory was trying to cheat her, which we said from the beginning, too, that she's looking for money and that's why she's doing it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think they're going to have a harder time. I just have to switch it up too, so that way, you know, one of us can be right or wrong next week. So they're gonna have a hard time getting back into the States.
Yeah, and I know she didn't have any snacks this week, but I'm sticking with cocaine Monte Cristo.
Cocaine Monte Cristo. I don't even remember what I said last week. I know I had mashed potatoes there at some point, so I'll stick with that too, because now with the new influx of Coke, she's definitely gonna be trying some new Coke
just the amount
cuisine.
That you would use in a powdered mashed potato.
Right, she's gonna do that. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz on Grim, Helix, and Resurrection.
Awesome, yes, you're basically here all the time doing some shows, which is great. You can find me on the Twitter at SMan80, that's SMAN80, and Sunday nights with the Cosmos After Show.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.